Hello everyone, I am Akif and today we will be discussing about Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, DHCP. We will also check how it looks like in Wireshark. So let's get started. In TCP/IP protocol suite, we have these 5 layers: physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, and application layer. Today, the DHCP that we are going to discuss comes in the application layer. It's an application layer protocol. And we will be discussing about how it's related to transport layer. So in transport layer, we have these 2 famous protocols called user datagram protocol and transmission control protocol. What we'll be talking is UDP, because UDP is related to DHCP. DHCP is an application UDP based application layer protocol. Now, before discussing what DHCP means and how the messages that are involved in DHCP look like and how the processes are involved, we need to understand what broadcasting means. Suppose we have this internet, and this internet or the web is connected to our router, and this router in turn is connected to a subnet. So what happens if some packet comes from some unknown source or any known source? If it's heading towards the router processes it, forwards it, and when it's processing, it comes to know that its source address is the address from which it arrived, but its destination address is 255.255.255.255. So whenever you have an address which looks like this, where we have these 255, 255, 255, and 255, it is a broadcast ID. What does that mean? It means that these packets, a copy of these packets will be forwarded to all the hosts in the subnet. So that's what broadcasting means. You send these packets to all the hosts in the network. Now, if some host wants to be a part of a network, it doesn't know what IP address is. So what happens? The default IP address that is set is 0.0.0.0, and we have in the destination address as the broadcast ID. What happens next is that it forwards this packet or the query packet to all the hosts in the network. And what happens next is that this packet or message will be received by DHCP server, and this is called as DHCP Discover. We can see the link between host and DHCP server, which is the part of this network. So DHCP Discover message is sent. Suppose the IP address of this DHCP server is 192.168.1.2. It can be anything. And what does DHCP Discover message mean? We already know its source address and destination address, but what message it carries? It carries message which like seeking help. Can anyone provide me an address? That's what DHCP Discover means. And it's sent by the host. So the port that is involved, the UDP port that is involved, is 68. So whenever we talk about transport layer, they have these ports. Either they are UDP ports or they are TCP ports. But here, in this case, we have the port number 68 involved, and you can, as we will discuss, you will come to know that the port that's involved on the host side is port number 68. So as this message reaches the DHCP server, the port number that is involved is 67. So the port number, UDP port involved in case of the server, is port number 67. So this message reaches finally to the DHCP server. Now in the second step, DHCP server has something to offer. It sends this message, which is called as DHCP Offer. It reaches the host, and in this message the source address is the address of DHCP server, and the destination address is the broadcast ID. So what this message means is that I can offer you some address. So if it's not clear to you, I will write it here. I have written here the IP address that it's offering is 192.168.1.3. It can be anything. Just for the sake of example, I have put it here. So the source address is the address of DHCP server, and the destination address is the broadcast ID. So this message means that I have something to offer, and I am giving this address to you for 1 hour. So the port, as we saw in past few steps, the port involved on the server side is the port number 67. The port involved on the host side is port number 68. So this message reaches the host. Now we are in the step 3. Now host has something to request. It's called DHCP request. As this message reaches the server, the source address is 0.0.0.0 and the destination address is again the broadcast ID. So what this means is that I want to accept what you offer for next 1 hour. Please provide it to me. And the port involved on the host side is 68. The UDP port involved on the server side is 67. So the request reaches the DHCP server. Now DHCP provides an acknowledgement in step 4. The message is sent to the host. It reaches the host, and the message means you can use the address that I offer. Again, the source address is the address of DHCP server, the destination address is the broadcast ID, the port, as we saw in the previous step, involved is port number 67, and on the host side the port involved is 68. So that was all. Now let's have a look at the Wireshark. So I have captured these packets, and let's have a look at DHCP packets. And if if it's becoming difficult for you to search, you can type here DHCP, but I have all them already on my screen. So the two messages that it shows is DHCP request, which we saw in the step 3, and DHCP acknowledgement which we saw in the step 4. Now let's click on this and check what it has to show. So you can have a look at this. The source address, since it's DHCP request is sent from the host, the source address is 0.0.0.0, and the destination address is 255.255.255.255. So it is the broadcast ID here. Now we also need to check what is since the message is coming from the host, so the UDP port involved is 68, and on the destination the UDP port involved is 67, which is of the DHCP server. So there are other informations also related to it, but currently we are interested only in these few things. Now let's have a look at DHCP acknowledgement. Let's see what it has to offer. So you can have a look at this. This is DHCP acknowledgement. It's coming from the server side. The source address is the source ID is the IP address of DHCP server. You can see it, 181.13.47.1. The destination ID is again the broadcast ID. Another thing that we know about it is that it's coming from since it's coming from the DHCP server, the source port or the UDP source port will be 67 and the destination port will be 68. Now let's have a look at the flow. You have to go to statistics and then to the flow graph. Click on OK. You can have a look at this. This is the flow. DHCP request from the host host doesn't know its IP address 0.0.0.0 and the destination address is 255.255.255. And in return, the DHCP server responds with DHCP acknowledgement. Its source ID is 181.13.47.1. Destination ID is the broadcast ID, and its port number involved here is 67 since it's coming from the source, and destination is 68. Here we have 68 from the host side, 67 on the destination side. So that was all for today. Thanks and have a nice day.